Hi, welcome to November's wrap up. We're trying a new thing with my husband's phone to record, so we'll see how this goes, all right? Also, I'm in a different location because as you can see, we finally put the Christmas lights up. Oops. And I wanted to put that out because it's been a very busy month already in December, and by golly, I wanted to have a little bit of fun. Now, this is going to be a kind of a short video because I mostly read romances. I read 9 romances out of 13 this month. And we know I don't really go over romances, so again, I'm going to try to make this brief. The other genre I read was mystery and thriller, and there's like 4 of those, and one of them was a DNF, so that should tell you something. Breakdown of other stuff. So, I read 5 stories under 100. I read 4 from 100 to 200 pages, and the other 4 were over 200 pages. I broke it down that way because I mostly read a lot of shorter fics that were probably under 150, but I wanted to kind of shift them a bit. So, my ratings this month were a whole special thing for November. I gave a lot of 4 stars. I had 2 DNFs. I had 3 stars, and the rest were all 4 stars. It was a good month, apparently, for reading. So that means I had 9 4 stars. So for the DNF, I'm going to start with a romance. Again, I'm doing an exception to the rule this month because I read so many romances. I didn't plan on it that way, but commute time and being in class, I needed something that was going to give me the chance to relax a little bit, and it is what it is. So, first up, I'm going to talk about Zoe Chant's Ruffled Feathers. I have to keep looking at the title because I'm getting it confused with another one that I read that I will talk about in a few minutes. This one I wanted to like so badly, guys. I wanted to like it so badly. It was a short one. Zoe Chant, I'll talk about her a little bit because I have 2 of her books got 4 stars. This is the only one I could not finish, and I just could not connect with the heroine and the hero's story. I felt like it was just a little bit off. I didn't really buy it, and it seemed a bit contrived. But what I did like was the fact the heroine was a bird biologist. I am not going to attempt to say that word, so we're just going to call her the bird biologist. And she was also a professor at the local university that was doing information about it. I thought that was kind of amazing. Don't you? Different. You don't really see that in romances too much. So I was like, cool, we're good with that. But I just couldn't get past like 60% of it. I did try. And in case you're wondering why I keep looking over, I'm at a weird angle, so my TV script is over here instead of over here, which is very odd for me. Okay, and then the other DNF was one of the mystery thriller type crime ones, and that was The Aftermath by Gail Schimmel. I honestly can't tell you what it was about. I cannot, because I could not get into this book. I was listening to the audiobook. I was trying to read the other one, and I got less than 50 pages in. I think it was like 25, and I was just like, done. I did not care. I had no idea what was going on. I will say that the mother character in this book does have some suicide ideation. She does talk about that. So if you're listening and you are thinking about this book and that may be a content warning or trigger warning for you, please avoid it because it's talked about very often in those first like little bit that I read. Again, I DNF'd it PDQ and I was on my way. So the next ones I wrote are the 3 stars. There are 3, and I'm only going to talk about 2 of them, and that's because one of them you've seen the video for. That'll be the last one to talk about in this section. So first we have Love Flush by Evie Mitchell. This one is another romance, and it was kind of a disappointment for me because I was really looking forward to it. I loved Not Your Type, which is the first in the series, because this series is about women and men who have disabilities, either visible or invisible, and how you can survive them. And as someone who is a diabetic, openly have talked about it, will continue to talk about it. In fact, last night, before I recorded this, I had really low sugar. I was covered in sweat from having low sugar during the night. but you kind of have to adapt and adjust. And I really liked that. The heroine in this book was really good about that, but I couldn't get into it. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm planning on Deconstructing Damsels to have 1 month next year, at the beginning of the year, where I discuss these 2 books, Not Your Type and Love Flush. But what I liked is the heroine here has Crohn's disease, and I think people sometimes don't always think the fact that an invisible disease is still a disease, and something you can't see all the time, you can't see the outcome, doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. And I really liked the way that Evie Mitchell put this into effect here. Like, she was open about things, she discussed it, and there was a little bit of personal experience, which she talks about in the author's note. It felt real, and I really appreciated that, because as someone who also has a bad reaction to severe stress, or like, I don't mean just like regular stress, but like when all of a sudden everything collapses onto you and you can have physical reactions to it, it really is nice to see that in books. So I will say that. I just didn't care for the hero link at all. And then the other one is The Naughty List by Ellie McGuire. Again, romance. This is a Santa Claus romance. Oh my god, I didn't realize that when I was reading it. That was going to be like mostly erotic. I don't mind erotic, by the way. But I was not expecting to have like... I kept imagining... I think his name is Victor Webster, the guy who played Cupid on Charmed. I kept imagining him as this like Santa Claus who like shows up to this lady's house to give presents to her kids, but her kids are not there because her soon-to-be ex-cousin has like this cruise he wants to take them on randomly in Miami, so they're gone, and Santa apparently didn't get the memo. So he shows up, they have sex, they do all this kind of stuff. So imagine a 1990s like Showtime or Cinemax meets the Santa Claus. It's this weird world, and so I gave it 3 stars. It was actually really well written. I couldn't quite follow the idea of this story at all. And I will say that I think that the author knew what she was going with, so there is that. But it was a very interesting sudden surprise when I was reading. And finally, in the 3 stars category was When She Returned by Lucinda Berry. I have a video that I will link down below where I did a short review of that. It took like maybe 10 minutes, I don't know. But it's still an editing process as I record this. That's how life goes when you're doing 15,000 things at once. But it was a disappointment for me because I was expecting something better. It was interesting because it was about a woman who returns from being in a cult for 12 years. And I think currently there's a lot of conversations about cults, about, you know, fanatic belief and what you do. I made a reference to in the video the fact that there's a definite like Jonestown feel to this, a little bit of like a David Koresh. So when you go into this book, be aware of that. It was not that triggering for me, but if it may be for others, so I wanted to put that out there. But those are my 3 stars. Again, I'm not going to go into When She Returned because I have a whole video on that. Now, the rest are 9-star reviews. Not 9 stars, 4. And I'm going to kind of go them very quickly. And the first 2 are actually Zoe Champ books, which I talked about a little bit in the DNF section. But the first one is Hard Luck Hellhound. I picked it because of the word. Kindle Unlimited knows me. They have got me down to a science. They know exactly what I will do, what I will read. I am in love with this idea. So it's about a hellhound, a shifter who is made into a hellhound. Like, he was a normal human and then he was a shapeshifter. I'm like, okay, why not? That one was a new one. It's set in a small town in Texas. He was, you know, ambitious, hardworking, going for what he wanted, and then it didn't turn out that way because he ended up kind of destroying everything as he and his hellhound were, you know, going against each other. And then the heroine is a cursed woman, like literally she's been cursed by her family many, many, many generations ago. And so she's kind of having to live with the after effects. And so it's this really nice dynamic of watching two different kind of magics at work. And I really appreciated it. I gave it 4 stars, easy. I like the heroine. I like the hero. I highly recommend it. And then for the next one, it's Prickly But Cute, also by Zoe Chance. Chance. I keep on saying Chance because I say Chance because I actually did not like her. For the longest time, I could not read Zoe Chance. I had several of her books on my Kindle, and I just did not like them. But for whatever changed, it changed, and I'm really enjoying her. And in Prickly But Cute, it's about a hedgehog. It's a hedgehog shifter. Do you know how happy that makes me as a person? I love me some hedgehogs. There's like, in my house, you will find hedgehogs or foxes or some of these like, you know, animal statues all over the place. So I was like, it's a hedgehog chapter. And it's a woman, so that made it even better. It's set around Valentine's Day. And it's, you know, they kind of like, she and her mom get snowed in at this lodge that they didn't know had canceled the appointments. And so, you know, she kind of like falls for the caretaker. Oops, there's a tree back there. So she falls for the caretaker. And but it's this really nice storyline. And what he changes into is very interesting. I am not going to tell you what it is because this has been the shifter the past couple months. And so that was enough. And then I'm definitely going to say I highly recommend these two especially. Like these two most especially. By Zoe Chand. Out of the 4 that I've read. Okay, and so the next one is why I keep getting it confused with Ruffled Feathers. And that is called Tailing Her by Cecilia Kyle. Tailing Her. You think of tail feathers and ruffled feathers, so my brain switches them around. This is yet another romance and yet another shifter romance. I was listening to it audiobook and ebook because Kindle Unlimited is awesome that way sometimes, but sometimes you can find things in other locations to listen to audiobooks. I don't know if you're aware of that. That may be how I've read some few books this month, even though I have a couple of services. But anyway, so this one is about a high-priced, or not high-priced, but high-power attorney who is on the wrong side of the wrong people, and she's being targeted because she's going after the shifter mob versus the regular mob. There are some overlaps, but anyway. So she's doing that, and then she meets like the alpha's mate's brother. So anyway, this is a long convoluted thing, but anyway, I really liked the fact that, the heroine was very boom. It's like she knew what she wanted, how she wanted it, she was going to get it done. I was totally down for that one. Honestly, I highly recommend it. I don't always write shifter romances, but this one was actually pretty fun to read. I didn't find anything too bad when I looked at my ratings. Nothing was lower than around a 4 stars, so that's high praise for me. Okay, then the next one is yet, I know you're shocked, another shifter romance. I'm telling you, like November, I didn't even plan it that way. It just turned out that way. And that is Seduced by a Selkie by Kate De La Roche. And it was on Kindle Unlimited, like 25 pages or something. Very short. But it's set in Ireland, and this American travel writer tourist comes upon the Selkie. They have some interesting sex times. Like, definitely, I would say Jess Owens would probably call this like low medium heat, but to me it was pretty interesting because it dealt with like her Selkie hide, her skin, and all of that. So it was really interesting. And it's actually about 2 women, so it's sapphic. Not always something you see when it comes to shifter romances, but I really appreciated the effort put into that. And it felt like a really good, quick read. Like, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting it. I was actually going to read another Selkie one, which I will talk about at a later date, probably on Deconstructing Damsels, but I was happy to find this one on Kindle Unlimited for such a short time and such a short page count, and it was just really enjoyable. Highly recommend it. The last ones are coming up. So the next one is not a romance. I know I threw that one in for you. I'm very proud of myself for that one. It's called The Lost Bones by Kendra Elliott. And I really enjoy Kate. Like, okay, so there's some very interesting elements to the Widow's Island series. I will link it below, but I have a video where I talk about the series and I've kind of like updated it throughout my reviews. But I appreciate the fact that Kate was an FBI agent and she retired, but just because you're retired doesn't mean you're retired, right? Like you can't let go of some of the cases because the cases are not finished, and until they're finished, you can't like get what you want. I'm all for it. So, down with that. And I appreciate the fact that Kate has conflicting emotions, but she does not stop what she needs to do to fix whatever's going on. Even though she's not in law enforcement anymore, not even on Widow's Island, she's still willing to take what it needs to be done in order to fix something. And I also appreciate the fact that her best friend Tess, her mom has dementia. My godmother, I don't know if you guys know, died with dementia. I say of dementia because I think she slowly started to lose herself and she lost what she wanted to be. But I appreciate the fact that, you know, these real world issues are put in, and the fact that, like, you know, Kate has PTSD, and it comes out in this book a bit, right? Because it's about, okay, it's fair warning, it's short, but it's about a little girl that's been missing for years, and new information came up, and there's issues with like pregnancy, and it's a little bit hard if that's your area, but I think it's worth reading. Because for me, it was a little bit healing. I'm not going to go into it, but last year I had issues with my pregnancy, and so I don't have a kid, so obviously something happened. But the point being, it wasn't something that put me off of it. And oftentimes it is, because there's a lot of mystery and thrillers that deal with mothers, and I can't do it. Like, I knew going into When She Returned, it was about a mother that was in a cult. So there was a little bit of a difference there, because I felt like it was discussed a little bit more. But either way, I highly recommend this one. I like how Kate responded to things, what she did, how she reacted. It was really good. So definitely give this one a thumbs up. Okay, now we're going back to romance. Because why not? So this is called A Perfect Christmas, and it is by Lori Wilde. So I got this one for free on Kindle. This actually wasn't a Kindle Unlimited, but a freebie. And I was like, I was in the mood to start reading Christmas stuff. Funny enough, it's Christmas month, and I have not been reading that much Christmas in December. But anyway, so I was reading this one, and it's basically about an ambitious, you know, go-getter, highly motivated lawyer who wants to do, you know, all these things, blah, 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 blah. And he gets sent to the small town in Texas called Mistletoe. I think it's Mistletoe. Maybe Kris Kringle. Anyway, it's a Christmas town. So he has to deal with all of that, and he meets this great small town veterinarian who came from a bigger practice but wanted to be more small town, and she wanted to stay near her mom, who had moved after her dad died. It was all very interesting, actually. So I gave this one 4 stars, even though I didn't necessarily buy the romance, but they had animals in it. I'm a simple woman. It had animals in it. I'm good, if you can't tell from the shifters. But I also appreciated the fact that they take the time to talk about these kind of things, right? And so I think that's really important. I definitely give it 4 stars. The next one, there's only 2 more left, guys. I'm trying to go through this quickly for you. So there's Rare Danger by Beverly Jenkins, as my grunty dog says, grunt. And this one is a contemporary romantic suspense by the queen of romance, or one of them, I guess I should say, because most people think of Nora Roberts as the queen. But this is a totally fun, exciting, you know, enjoyable book. I didn't really necessarily like the romance, though, oddly enough, even though, You know, Miss Bev usually writes really good romances, but I enjoyed the suspense part of it, the family, the side characters, all that, which is typical in Miss Bev's work. I listened to it on Kindle Unlimited because it's one of their specifics. Usually you don't get that when it comes to Miss Bev, so I definitely appreciated it. And, you know, I think that it's a fun read. I think it's like 115, 120 pages, so it's not long. It's pretty short for a Miss Bev book, but I definitely had fun with it. And finally, I read Thin Air by Lisa Gray, and this one is I wouldn't call it a thriller because it's not. It's more of a mystery. And in this mystery, the biggest problem or the biggest question is who is Jessica Shaw? Well, Jessica Shaw is the main character, so what are you talking about? Basically, she finds out she was kidnapped and she has to go back and see all the ways that she wasn't and kind of dissect it. I'm not going to talk about this too much because I have a video I'm going to try to put out hopefully in January, maybe February, depending on how long it takes to edit, where I read a bunch of books with characters named Jessica. You know, my name. And I'm going to put that together because I think it's pretty interesting to see how my name goes across time. Because I have several, I've got like a Sweet Valley High book I'm going to read because we all know Jessica Wakefield. I have this one. I have another thriller kind of series. I think I have like one more that I want to read. So it kind of like gives me a little bit of a conversational topic for a longer video coming up soon. So I won't go into it too deeply, but I felt like this one was a solid 4 stars, not 5, not 3, kind of solidly in the middle. There were some parts I felt I was really disappointed in, and then there was other parts I was like, oh, that's really cool. So, like I said, I won't go too deep into it, but that was the last book I read in November. So the fact I only had 2 DNFs in November is kind of awesome, considering I was not feeling overly patient that month. Kind of proud of that, actually. So, I am going to go, but in a moment, I want to tell you about what I will be doing for Christmas, and it's behind my back, hence. I am going to be talking about a Christmas cozy for the Christmas video. And it is the one, the only Murder, She Wrote. So I haven't really talked about it much here, but I love, love, love cozy mysteries. Love them. And I grew up watching cozy mystery shows. I watched, you know, Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder, Matlock, Columbo, you know, Heart to Heart. Like, I watched all of those shows. So for me, this is really fun. And I bought it used. It was written in 1998. And it's in first person. So this is going to be very weird for me because I really don't like first person normally. But I thought it was worth buying. So this is going to be my Christmas book. I hope you will join me for that one. And I'm going to make sure that I have it done in time for Christmas so it can go up and it can release on the day of. It's only about 300 pages, so it won't take me that long. You know, but I'm really excited. It's called A Little Yuletide Murder. I'm down for it. Okay, guys. Please remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment below. We all know how the algorithm is, and honestly, it has nothing to do with the algorithm for me, though. In all truth, I want it because I want to talk to you guys and see what you guys are reading and doing, because I think that's really fun. And I've seen so many great wrap-ups in November. I'm going to link to Reading Riley. I really enjoyed hers, and I think you'll enjoy it because she talks a lot about what she's read in her new college program and also what she read on other things. And honestly, Reading Riley is probably one of my favorite channels to watch right now. And we will see what else I link below, because who knows what I've watched between when this ends and when it goes up. Hi, welcome to Editing Me. I am not on screen because, well, I'm not dressed to be on screen, and
I don't want to get Just Be on Screen. But I did want to add some wrap-ups that I have read recently besides reading Riley, as much as I love them. I also have A Book Circus, Alley with Books, Booked and Busy, Books Like Whoa, Jess Owens, and Starla Reads. I will have all their wrap-ups in the description box below. Go watch, go listen, because they all talk about completely different books, and I think it's kind of amazing. So let's carry on, and the back screen and black screen or whatever is in the background will be gone.
Bye, guys.